2, 3, 4.
We're recording.
All right, you know what I've been watching lately? I've watched this twice. No, 3 times
Yeah.
in the past week. First time I didn't get through it, but 3 times. 3 times, and it's Bullet Train. And
Yeah.
crazy coincidence, you've been watching
I just
it too.
yeah, I just caught it also.
Somehow it worked out. And
I guess that's what we're talking about.
yeah, and I'm kind of thinking, this movie is so great, one of the best movies to come out
Yeah.
in recent memory.
A complete fun experience.
Is it a revival of action movies? Are they coming back?
Dude, you know what? I think so. Like, because immediately I just saw John Wick. I've mentioned on the show a couple times, and that's the 4th John Wick, and they're all blowing it out of the water. Well, Top Gun Maverick did well last year. Or was that 2 years ago now?
No, it's it.
That was last year, right?
It's last year, yeah.
I recently watched Suicide Squad, so maybe like these fun kind of family trip to the movie action films. I think they might be coming back and doing pretty well.
But to me, it depends. What do you define as an action movie? Because have they really
Yeah.
ever gone away in a sense? Because, Avengers, that's kind of
Yeah,
an action
like
movie.
all the superhero movies are action movies technically, but no, I'm not. I wouldn't consider them action films. Like Avatar, also, that's obviously an action film, but like I don't want to put it up there with action films because it's not. It's not.
But Suicide Squad is in the show notes.
Oh yeah, I did say
You
Suicide.
caught you there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, do you know what I mean by that
Yes,
though?
it's a bit different.
Because like Suicide Squad,
It's a bit different.
I'm talking movies that their selling point is mindless, fun, brutal action. And the most recent Suicide Squad did that. John Wick does that. Bullet Train does that. People come to see a sick action movie with great stunt choreography.
But they're all very different, which is nice. So,
Right.
John Wick is this very fast-paced
It's
martial
dark,
arts style
yeah.
editing, dark, yes. And Top Gun Maverick is this nostalgic throwback and taking, and probably, in my opinion, the greatest cash grab movie of all time because it actually, reboot whatever you want to call it, sequel, because it just takes what the first one did and actually improves upon it, does it better, and to its advantage. It came out in a time where effects are better. So,
Yeah.
and that's what Top Gun really relies on. So to
Yeah.
me, Maverick was always going to be better.
I
And-
think Maverick, like, everyone was shocked that it was so good.
Oh, I'm blown away.
Yeah.
But I knew within like the first minute of that
Really?
movie because, as I was alluding to earlier, Top Gun's all about the effects and the flying.
Yeah.
You're not going to Top Gun for the plot or for the incredible acting, right? So to me, Top Gun Maverick always had the advantage just because it came out,
Yeah.
35 years later. The first scene when you see them landing onto the aircraft carrier again, it just looked better. It sounded better. It
It really
sounded
puts you in
bigger.
like, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready to watch this like badass fighter pilot.
Yeah, and in that moment, I was like, this is going to be better. But one thing I'll say about John Wick.
Is that cheap though? That they
No.
introduce the movie that
No.
way to like get you in?
Here's the difference, right? I'm going to address something here. You
Yeah,
know
go
why
for it.
I give Star Wars so much crap for being so blatantly corporate and just like, this is next product, right? And all they care about is making it look cool and having these cool moments. But here, Star Wars fans really respect it, and Star Wars acts like it's something that should be respected, and it's not behaving that way, so it bothers me. Top Gun, shameless. They're just like, we're gonna make this throwback, make a ton of money, America, fuck yeah,
See,
here we go.
when you go
So,
all the way,
that's how it should
like
be.
people accept it.
Exactly, that's how I am. It just know
Yeah.
what you are and be amazing at it.
And
then
that's
I'm not gonna
I
compare
think
it
that's
to
what
them.
Bullet Train does.
Yeah.
There are now look, it's not perfect. This isn't a perfect, amazing, super critically acclaimed film, but it's a really great time. And the first thing I draw from Bullet Train is that it is a colorful action film with a diverse cast of characters, a star-studded cast also.
I I have, what I noticed with Bullet Train, and I kind of compare it to John Wick. It's this Asian style of making action movies that I've noticed, where it's very fast paced, quick camera
Yeah.
movements, a lot of body movements, moves a lot faster than North American action movies, and it's really starting to become more popular
Yeah.
and more dominant. You're even seeing it, even making its way into the superhero movies with Shang-Chi,
Yeah.
right? So
It's pretty like prevalent right now.
yeah, it seems to be
and-
leading the action
Yeah.
wave, sort of. And it's really enjoyable, and of course it fits the title and it fits the name. The
Yeah.
action moves at a fast pace, but this movie just has so much going on in it that sometimes it's too much for me.
Right. So upon my second or third rewatch, it was kind of tough. The first time I watched it, like my eyes were glued to the screen and I was completely there the entire time. And the first experience was great. But upon like the second watch, it just felt like a lot for some reason. There's so many characters and they're all interwoven and have their own motivations on this train, and everyone's motivations conflict with each other. So it can be a lot to
Yeah.
kind of keep up with, and all of that plus the super fast paced action. And bright colors, and they're doing quick montages. Like when a new character shows up, there's a quick montage of them. So the movie jumps back and forth everywhere, and you can either embrace that and really enjoy it, which I did to the full extent the first time I saw it. But the next couple of times I watched it after that, I was a little bit taken back.
Well, and I mean, another thing that's jarring for North American audiences, because we're spoiled,
Yeah.
having most media be in English, is this movie's not too much, but there is a bit of scenes that are in Japanese,
Yeah.
which is could be jarring as well. I just gotta say, like, it's so much going on, like you said, and just the set design and the colors and everything's
Yeah.
just bright and going fast. And what I kind of notice is this movie, as someone who's never been to Japan and is not Japanese, I almost wonder if it's trying to capture like the essence of Japan. A lot of people who live in Japan say it's so much information overload. It's so fast paced, so
Oh,
much
okay.
stuff, and that's what you feel like when you're watching
Yeah.
Bullet Train. It captures it like perfectly,
I like that.
and I kind of gets me excited with more Asian influences coming into Hollywood, because this movie has a real feeling of like capturing the feeling of Japan, something we're not used to.
Yeah.
That I think is a new interesting angle that we don't see.
Yeah, you're kind of like introduced to the culture, and like Japanese action films have been like so much American movie culture draws from that and uses that as inspiration, and this movie does that too, but it feels super American at the same time, right? Especially having Brad Pitt as the lead, and the character he plays does kind of shove that back in. What do you think of him as what's his character's
Ladybug.
name? Ladybug.
Ladybug. I think his character doesn't necessarily stick out as anything too original. You kind of know the guy he is.
Yeah.
But I think he plays it very well. I like Brad Pitt as a leading man. I do think he's one of the greatest movie stars alive
Yeah.
right now. And I think some of his lines are pretty memorable. Like there's a good amount of lines in this movie that I remembered right off the bat, and I could see quoting
It's funny.
for a while. It's a funny movie.
It's an action comedy.
It's a dark comedy. It's based off a book called Mariah Beetle.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's a Japanese book
Cool.
titled Bullet Train in the UK and the US. But yeah, it's based off a 2010 novel. But yeah, Brad Pitt does an amazing job.
I think after Brad Pitt, the first other characters that will be on this train for the rest of the movie that's introduced to us is Lemon and Tangerine, played by Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson, and they are referred to as the twins, but their code names is Lemon and Tangerine. And you're kind of just smirking as I say this, and that's because they're hilarious and funny and awesome, and they kind of steal the show, right?
Well, they're just two Brexit geezers, British stereotypes. And
Yeah.
they get you right off the bat. The first scene, they're rattling off one-liners and
Yeah.
jokes, and they just have really great chemistry.
But everything's landing,
Yeah, it's
like-
fresh. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
And very sarcastic, but not in an annoying way. And what I like about this movie is you learn so much about the characters by just them kind of being themselves,
yeah.
and just kind of acting,
Just
and
observing
yeah.
had them interact with each other.
and I like it when movies are done that way. Those are kind of my favorite movies. You definitely notice that with Lemon and Tangerine, especially.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about them from that, but all the characters, even Ladybug as well. And it's something that's very dazed and confused. It kind of has a hangout vibe because they spend all this
Yeah.
time in this train. So there's this plot line running through, very complicated one,
Yeah.
very brain breaking
Well,
one.
it's simple,
that's
but it keeps
interweaving.
getting more
Yeah,
complicated.
exactly. But you spend a lot of time hanging out with the characters, and it's reminds me of Tarantino and a lot of movies. A lot of things about this movie remind me of that, like the opening where it's playing
The
the Japanese version
yeah.
of Staying Alive, and you're getting the city,
Yeah.
and the use of montage. But I think that's also borrowed from a lot of Asian and martial arts cinema.
You
But-
know, the character dialogue specifically reminds me of Tarantino. It's a little more witty though, I
Yeah.
think. But very similar in style. And like upon my first time viewing, my favorite part was figuring out how these characters are all involved in the plot, and that starts almost within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You're in it on this train, and you know what the mission is, and it just keeps getting more complex after that, which is fun if you like that type of thing. If you don't want to pay attention to the plot, you might get a little confused as to what's really going on. But hey,
Oh, and fast.
yeah, it's fast and tight. You were telling me that the cinematography, a lot of the shots and camera angles are just tight and claustrophobic. And I didn't realize that at first, but I got that feeling from the movie, but I didn't like fully acknowledge that it was because of the way the camera work was done.
I'm not one to usually notice camera work
Yeah.
too much, but one thing I noticed, because I watched the movie 3 times before this to refresh, and I noticed on like the second watch, I'm like, just the swiftness and the quickness they move the
Yeah.
camera with, the tightness of the shots. A lot of it is really staring on the character's face and like nervousness. Like it makes you feel this like intensity and just fast paced and information overload.
Very, very well done, though. It's not easy to work in tight, closed spaces like that. And
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're in the train, trapped
Yeah.
after a while with them.
yeah, it's always close and tight. You never have shots of characters from far away. You're always up in their business and their face and stuff.
And one thing I'm wondering this movie, how many Japanese like cultural references do we miss?
Yeah, there's probably a lot we didn't catch or don't understand, but there's probably a lot of accuracy involved too.
But you know what's so cool about it? I talk about my dad. He's like a immigrant from South America, and he
Yeah.
listens to people from other countries. And all the movies came from America, so they would look at America as like this mythical, really cool place, far off land.
Yeah.
And now I kind of like that Japanese and Korean cinema is having an influence on ours because
Huge.
it makes we kind of have that angle now where it's
Yeah.
a more foreign place to us. Most movies that we watch take place in a society similar to
I
ours,
see that,
or
yeah.
in a place that even looks like somewhere where we could live.
But like to us, like a place like Japan is quite alien.
Yeah, and how it's portrayed in Bullet Train is probably so exaggerated.
Yeah.
But it's the same how those people probably saw
But
America.
that's probably how we'd feel if we threw
Yeah.
ourselves there, because it's not like that here. It's a different style of life and a different style of culture too. And like our culture is now slowly taking from that. As I said, like Hollywood's been using Japanese action films as inspiration for a really long time, right?
Yeah, and one thing I admire about Bullet Train 2, I feel like it's a very 21st century movie. It feels
Yeah,
very
for
of the
sure.
time. Just at the
Yeah.
pace it moves, not focusing on one thing too long, short attention span, quick, lots of information.
It's so sarcastic.
And so sarcastic, right? So it feels like it fits perfectly in the time. It doesn't feel too attached
Yeah.
to the past too much.
No, like it is tight and with the camera work, but it's also really colorful and has a lot of like exaggerated, vibrant, contrasted colors, which now when I remember the movie in my head, like I get that tight close-up shots. I appear in my head with tons of color in them,
Yeah.
and that's the identity of the movie, I think.
Well, the opening scene, there's like a bright yellow.
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah.
Amazing. And also the cast, it's very diverse. In a sense, in a lot of ways, it feels like a very global movie because there's 2 British guys, there's Americans. It takes place in Japan. You have a Latin guy and Russian.
Yeah.
I would still say most of the movies in English and most of the cast is white and the leading guy's white, so I wouldn't say it's that diverse of a movie, but it feels like a movie that takes a lot of global influences more than I feel like movies would have back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very cool movie in that way, but it's certainly not perfect. Like I said, it's exhausting to watch,
Yeah.
and I got to be in the mood.
Yeah. It's a nice background film too. On my like on my third time watching it, I was just sitting there sketching. And you look up to catch these moments. You got to give some credit to the stunt choreography and the fight choreography. I believe the person who did this was involved in John Wick, I think.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, okay, so
Atomic Blonde as well, I believe the director did, which wasn't well received, but a lot of action
I
as well.
I watched that movie. There's very cool moments in it.
Deadpool 2 as well. He did.
Really? So this guy knows what he's doing, and it's not a surprise that this movie was well received, and it's not a surprise that this movie was put together this well.
And made on the cheap. According
Really?
to Wikipedia, 85 to 90 million on the budget, and it grossed 239 million. So respectable.
Nice,
Not like
nice.
a massive success, but it looks great. A lot of great action scenes. Pretty low budget for today's standards, and it made a profit.
That's a good success. Like nowadays when it comes to movies, like I'd rather it turn a profit, not a lot, but turn a profit and be well received than like just the fact that it's well received saves this movie and its reputation.
Well, who doesn't care if it grossed $1 billion? Because now it made a profit, it got critically well received, and now it can sit on streaming and
Exactly.
gain a fan base.
And I think movies like this get bigger after their cinema release. It's definitely thriving on streaming right now. More people are watching it on streaming than people watch it in the theater, so it just continues to grow.
Exactly. So
Very international cast too. Really diverse and
in a way, like I said, but
in a way,
still mostly white
but-
when you actually think about it. Not get too much into that, but it feels like I would describe it as
Yeah.
more. It's a lot of influences from around the world,
yes,
more so than it's like totally diverse.
yes, it's still American Hollywood made film.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna get exactly what you want there, but
But yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, like I said, you have the Latin culture in there with the wolves story,
yeah,
which just brutal, and it fits into the whole plot in a
this
way.
movie
that's-
is
it's
gory
really weird.
and graphic
To an
but
extent.
not that bad.
I would say there's one element about it that's really graphic, and then everything else is pretty easy. That's kind of how I would describe it.
Yeah,
But they even, you know what's cool about this movie? I want to give a shout out to my cousin Carlos, because he was listening to our Pirates of the Caribbean episode.
yeah,
And I was kind of saying how it feels like there's no fluid action in movies like there is in Pirates of the Caribbean. It
Yeah.
feels like a dance and it's very light, right? And he was like, well, your argument kind of falls apart if you haven't seen this movie. So I'm like, okay, so I watch Bullet Train. And what Bullet Train does is they work in some comedic bits in between the fighting
the action,
and a lot
yeah.
of talking. And
an
cool.
entire action sequence is interrupted
yeah,
and it paused and then it resumes again,
exactly.
which was done really well. But I feel like the action in this movie can be chaotic and like it's really broken up because like they're fighting in a confined space, and at one point Brad Pitt just runs away, which is funny.
Yeah.
So like it's broken up really weird, and it's not, you don't have these long fluid dances. Like it's very grounded, the action, like
Yeah.
fighting in a bar, they're throwing stuff at each other and jamming the doors so people can't get through. Even a snake is let out at one
Yeah.
point. It's chaotic, but it's really fun.
But it's just nice the way they weave it together with lines and the characters talking in comedy. I like seeing that sometimes when it can be done well.
Yeah, a lot of these characters have identity, and I will remember these characters moving forward. More specifically, Ladybug, Tangerine, and Lemon, being the highlights, as they should and as they were meant to be, right?
Yeah, I like the Prince too.
Yeah, she's
the
cool.
Played by Joey King, really good.
Adds a nice. Things slow down when she's on screen.
You know what's so messed up though?
Yeah.
I don't care. I won't go into it, but I don't care about the father
Yeah.
and son and the grandfather subplot thing.
Wasn't a fan of that.
But that's the thing that's the most important, and it's just like I don't care because everything else is way more interesting in that movie.
yeah.
So, yeah, great movie.
Brad Pitt had a lot of memorable things he'd say too. A lot of one-liners. That was his character.
I wrote down like 4 lines here. I'm not saying we got to say them, but there's some just
I get captivated by white girl tears.
yeah. Well, that's actually Lemon.
Yeah.
That's a
Eat a
great
bag
one.
of dicks, lady is definitely
Exactly.
a Ladybug quote.
Yeah, that's Ladybug. But just see the movie. I got
Yeah.
3 there that I wrote down. Anyway, just there's so many quotable lines. I
Yeah.
think it's very perfect.
You want
Underrated.
to have a fun time, make some popcorn, kick back, watch Bullet Train. If you haven't, you'll most likely enjoy it.
I could see a TikTok with all 3 of these. Let this be a lesson in the toxicity of anger. Eat a bag of dicks, lady, and I get captivated by white girl tears. You could see people making TikToks out of
Yeah,
all 3 of those.
for sure about him.
I'm just saying this movie's gonna hold up.
I did rate this movie before on my Instagram, an out of 10 score. I can't remember what I gave it. It's definitely at least a 7.6 or a 7.7. Great movie.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. I
Yeah.
could be a bit more generous to it, but it just only complaints a bit exhausting to watch. There are some parts I'm not too interested in.
But I don't
So,
feel exhausted watching it the first time,
no.
because if you're in the right place to watch it, sometimes you might not feel like it. But if you feel like really diving into a movie, then take this one completely. But do you think that means like action movies, this type of style of movie is becoming popular now? Our ratings and like 18 plus movies are now a bigger thing. It used to be like the huge, everyone would say, oh, you make an R-rated movie, it won't make as much movie because not a lot of people can't go see it. I don't think that's true at all.
No, not anymore. They're definitely gaining a following,
Yeah.
for sure, which is something to be said. I don't know how high they'll climb where they'll ever compete with rated R movies. I think everybody knows that. That's just going to be hard to do. But they're gaining a following, and they're making steady money and have fans that are really dedicated, and that's better
Yeah.
in the long run.
Oh, so David Leitch, David
Yeah.
Leitch is the filmmaker behind Bullet Train, and he also did John Wick 1 through 4, Hobbs and Shaw's, Deadpool 2, Nobody, Atomic Blonde 1 and 2.
I didn't like Nobody.
I caught like half of it, and like I was interested, but
Had Bob Odenkirk.
yeah,
Saul Goodman.
yeah.
I wanted to like it.
And
'cause
I
thought it was a
wanted
cool
to
idea.
catch Violent Night, that Santa kicks ass movie,
Okay.
but I never got around to watching it. But like these are all he does action well,
Yeah.
and
he
he's
knows
definitely one of the leading filmmakers, if not I would say
it. Is he
the
the leading
the
action guy?
leading filmmaker when it comes to action films right now.
John Wick 4 made bank.
Yeah, and he has another movie on the way called The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Winston Duke and Aaron Taylor Johnson.
There you go.
So, yeah, he's on the up right now.
Yeah, he's
He's making fun times at the movies.
will he survive past John Wick in major Hollywood? That's the question.
Yeah, will people get tired of this style of filmmaking?
No, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I'm just saying Bullet Train did pretty well, but how's he going to get outside the shadow of John Wick? But he's only executive producing, actually, so
Yeah.
he's doing great. He is on the up then, I would say.
Yeah, I guess we got to
I just
mention
wanted to circle there, but yeah.
that Fast and Furious 10 is coming out, which is also one of the biggest, probably make 200 or 300 mil, you know? That has diehard fans.
I've never got it personally, but
I'm not a big Fast and Furious guy. I like the first 2 to 3 movies. They're decent, they're good, but they're not about cars or street racing no more. What are they doing in this one?
I heard going to space.
No,
No, they're not doing.
maybe
Are they doing that?
They already went to space. No.
Oh my god!
Oh, blowing up the Vatican, I think. What they're doing in this one? No, I'm serious.
I believe
I just
you.
saw the trailer.
I've seen them, a good amount of them, but it's kind of like Harry Potter in the sense that like I can see why people like it, but it's just not
How dare you?
doing it for me. But Harry Potter's better than Fast and Furious. I'm
It's
just saying.
Yeah, if it
I don't
doesn't,
really love
it's
Harry
not your
Potter
fault
either.
if it doesn't do it for you. You know, like if
But-
you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious just never did it for me. So
Is that ending? Is Fast and Furious ending? They have spin-offs now. Hobbs and Shaw.
that's it. That name's just funny. The fact that exists.
When is Fast and Furious ending? That's what I want to know. It's nearly the end of the road for the Fast and Furious franchise, and we have a better idea of exactly when. The final Fast movie will be released in 2025, according to Vin Diesel.
How old is he now?
They're doing Fast 11. Why would they not end it on 10? Why would they end it on
just hurts
10?
your brain. I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Oh, that's really bothering.
Nice round number. That
And
would be
they're
perfect.
promoting it as Fast X. And it's like, oh, that would have been the perfect movie to end it on. 10 fucking movies end it there, but they have to do 11.
What did it- oh.
Have to go to 11.
Oh, well.
It's so memed on. Fast and Furious is so memed on now.
He's 55. Jeez.
And there's tons of Fast
Yeah,
and
but
Furious.
that's you want to be memed. They don't care.
Yeah,
that helps.
they make more money. That's what I'm saying. They're gonna
Look
make
at,
200-300 million on this movie.
Look
Probably
at
more.
Minions.
Yeah, exactly.
Minions did so
Talked
well.
about that last
'Cause
week.
They're grown up in suits, and what's another one that did well? That got even Transformers gets memed, but that makes bank.
There's a new big Transformers coming. That's for sure action film.
Yeah, but all that money is.
But people are excited to go to the movies again. Like
I know.
usually people wouldn't care that a new Transformers is coming out, but like
But
many
with,
are excited.
but with Transformers and Fast and the Furious, do you not think a lot of it is international money? People who don't speak English.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where I find the most people are obsessed about it. I go
Yeah.
to Bolivia, my cousins, they're like, "Oh, the Fast and the Furious is the greatest thing ever made."
Really?
Yeah.
You used
so-
to tell me they're a couple of years behind on what's new here in North America.
Not really anymore. That was
No.
like way back in
Yeah.
the day. But yeah, Fast and Furious was everything. So,
Interesting. I do understand why that movie is better received outside of North America, I guess.
Well, I just think that's where they make most of their money with those kind of movies now.
I just can't take it seriously because of the cast. Like,
Mhm.
I can't with Vin Diesel. And now The Rock also.
Yeah.
And they hate each other also. And in their contracts, they have it written like they're not allowed to like get their ass kicked by each other. And
Oh.
if they have a fight sequence and it has to be a tie, it has to like.
Wow.
I'm serious.
I
Isn't
believe-
that not crazy?
Yeah, well, they have an
Because
image
they have
to
a
protect.
huge rivalry.
Uh-huh. They have an image to protect, right? So
They're the new Arnold and Sylvester.
basically,
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone.
They never had like real hate drama, but they're competing.
Well, they
Actors.
were, yeah, in the '80s, right? They were coming out with success after success. But yeah, man. I was in Bolivia when Transformers came out. I think the first one.
Really?
Massive. And I remember it felt like it was bigger there than it even was here. That's what first got me thinking like, oh, do a lot of these movies is all their money from international sales? Like, not that they don't do well here, but
I remember seeing Transformers in the theater as a kid, and I loved them. I wasn't a Transformers kid, though. Like, strictly, I was not a Transformers kid. I don't think you were really either.
no.
But, like, those movies were cool when I was a kid.
I feel like I just saw the first one when it came out. I don't even know if I saw. Was it Revenge of the Fallen after that?
Yeah, no, I don't know what I'm saying.
I
I
don't
think
even-
I saw the first three.
Really? Oh my god. What are they even called?
I might have
Transform-
seen the one after Shia LaBeouf was
You saw
dropped.
Transformers Dark of the Moon?
Dark of the Moon? I don't think I saw that.
Age of Extinction. The Last Night. I heard Bumblebee was okay.
Yeah, I did. I haven't watched it though, but I
Then we're already
think
talking about Transformers.
Yeah.
Sorry, we haven't
it's an
watched most
action
of these
film.
movies.
An action
people.
film episode talking about
I know.
Transformers.
But we haven't seen most of these movies, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, do we need to do a deep dive into Transformers?
No.
It's 6. There's 7 Transformers films.
No. But all the power to him. I mean,
2007,
good for them.
2009.
How much did the last
11.
one make?
Shia
Two,
LaBeouf in
no.
this one, or is he already dropped then? No, he was in that. He was in the first 3.
Mm.
And then Age of Extinction, I believe, is when they brought Mark Wahlberg in, right?
Yeah.
Was he also in The Last Night?
I don't
And
follow
then I think
Transformers.
Bumblebee is completely separate.
Yeah, it's like a new thing.
And now does this new one, Rise of the Beasts, is that take Bumblebee from that Bumblebee movie? Or is this now another new Bumblebee that's in the new Transformers? Pete Davidson is in this?
Globetrotting.
And Ron Perlman. Oh, he's Optimus Prime. Wait, Optimus Primal is a different character than Optimus Prime.
Yeah, it's like a pair of archaeologists in Brooklyn come into an ancient conflict through a globetrotting adventure with Autobots that ties in with three factions of the Transformers race: the Maximals, the Predacons, and the Terracons.
Rise of the Beast, this upcoming one has a...
This kind of sounds cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. Like, I've seen the trailer a couple of times. It has a $200 million budget.
Wow. My Lord.
Let me also tell you something.
It's not even Michael Bay directing it anymore.
No. What, he wasn't involved with a couple of the last ones.
This Bumblebee. The last one he did was The Last Night. Anyway.
Hold on.
That's Transformers.
I got something to tell you here.
Robots in disguise.
It was something about the cost, the budget of the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings show. And it's estimated that the budget for the entire first season was close to $1 billion. For this Amazon Lord of the Rings, and it didn't do really well, but
yeah, but Amazon has money, so they can do that.
Say accurately that Amazon sunk in about $1 billion into the Rings of Power. Total production budget was $715 million.
Yeah, plus promotion.
Yeah, that's just production budget. So is that... Where does $1 billion go when making a TV show?
Well, because this is what happens, right? When you have a consolidation of a few streaming services and a few movie studios, it's the people who are running it don't care about making movies. Amazon doesn't care about making movies. It's not their bottom line. They have all the money in the world, so they can just throw money at whatever and throw it at a project. So it just proves you can have all the money in the world, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a stiff product by a corporation that is not first and foremost concerned with making movies. And to me, that's when you can tell the difference between like quality stuff and just stuff that feels kind of plastic. Are the people backing it interested in movies, or are they interested in profit or business first? You have to be interested in both, but like Amazon doesn't care.
No,
Amazon
they
Prime,
just want something to bring in more people into the Amazon umbrella, right?
Yeah, and that's Disney's getting more and more like that.
And like being like Lord of the Rings, there's 3 movies, and then there's The Hobbit, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So now having a new TV show is a huge like return, and let's get as many people on this as we can. And the original, what's his name? Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Was he involved in this, or was it Tolkien? Who's Tolkien?
Tolkien is Lord of the Rings. Sorry.
I don't know. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings guy.
Is the So Peter Jackson is the director.
Okay.
George Tolkien is the writer of the books.
Okay, so Tolkien was involved and is involved in this show, and they're trying to just get everybody back. And like, same with like Harry Potter. Like, they're trying to strike lightning in the same place twice with the Fantastic Beasts. Now they're trying to restart Harry Potter again, bring Lord of the Rings back. You know, it's just people trying to revitalize old things to make new money.
Well, because they don't care about that's not their concern. Isn't let's make a great movie or a great piece of art. They want to make money, so that's what they're gonna do, right? And the problem is there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem now is that that's mostly what everything is. As far as if you go to a movie theater, where you're gonna watch. But that was always going to happen, right? But at least it's nice that Rings of Power proved that even if you have $1 billion, you can still make something that people consider crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have all the money in the world. And it looks amazing, everything, but it doesn't hide.
Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars guy, so I'm just constantly thinking about Star Wars, and the fact that like we have 3 new movies headed our way. Also, when like the Skywalker saga was supposed to be ended now, and now they're going to be continuing it again. Like, nothing has any weight anymore. Nothing is ever over. Nothing's ever gone anymore.
Well, that's why I checked out a long time ago.
I like
That's how kind of where I'm at.
I
Right?
liked and appreciated and understood and felt comfort walking out of the theater of Deathly Hallows Part 2. I found comfort in knowing it was over. It was a good conclusion. That's it. I was like, okay, great, well done. And most people were like that too. A good, satisfying end. And now, like, it's coming back, and it does spoil that feeling.
Yeah.
I remember that feeling, and now that they're coming back, it kind of just takes it back, you know?
I kind of just start to look at it as two separate entities.
Yeah, and that saves some of the bad thoughts, right?
I do that a lot now. By the way, with Star Wars,
You do that with Star
I think I'm
Wars.
done with The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big news here.
I just I didn't like the season for the most part. I just didn't care. It wasn't really grabbing me, and a lot of it felt like a waste of time.
Did you finish?
Yeah, and it's another switcheroo too. I won't talk too much about it.
Yeah.
But it's another switcheroo with a character that I admittedly do like, but still, it's just not the person
You know
the
what?
show's about.
Look,
it's not satisfying.
We can talk about it right now if you
I don't
want.
need to go too in depth. I'm just saying, that's kind of where I'm at with the Mandalorian.
I wasn't satisfied with the ending either. It felt cheap.
Yeah, very cheap.
All the stuff that they revealed in the final episode was taken back in the final episode. Some things were shown, some things were destroyed. Someone shows up, someone dies. It's like nothing felt special. Nothing felt didn't feel dangerous anymore. Really,
Nope.
that's when they're trying to. Like, they're trying to make us worry for these characters, but I was not worried for a second. I knew everything was going to be okay. I don't know.
I'm kind of just over it. Maybe I'll have to watch Andor now. I don't know. But like I was saying, breaking them up, I look at Star Wars. There's the George Lucas era, and there's the post George Lucas era. I almost look at them as two different things because, the George Lucas era is more people's vision, people being creative, whereas the post George Lucas is more a company buys it and says, all right, let's do the best we can to make this the biggest, most successful franchise of all time and sell toys, and it's just a different thing. They're almost two different things.
It doesn't feel special anymore, but maybe that's just because we're older now.
Well, that's partly true as well.
I guarantee you, all the kids who are kids right now are like just enjoying this like we used to, right? And that's usually a good place to end it on, right?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta remember, everything is made for money if you think about it long enough, right? Like, music, people make music to make money. Does that spoil enjoying music?
But here's my argument's different now. So when record labels first started, for example, we'll take music, they're like, okay, we are record labels, we make music to make money.
Yeah.
Now record label is owned by Sobeys. Now where we work is owned by like Sony, for example, is the biggest record label right now.
Yeah.
Owns all the record labels. Sobeys, dude.
Get it out.
Sony does all these other things. And to me, if the whole business becomes like that, quality of the product suffers.
Yeah.
Because the companies behind it are not focused on doing that one thing.
And that is accurate for music, film, TV, video games,
Yeah.
all of it.
You end up getting, I wouldn't say that it makes one era better than the other. There's just as much good stuff now. I would just say the difference is there's more garbage now because things have become like that. They've gotten better at making it, right?
And so much is being made now.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever actually sat and looked at how much movies and TV are on streaming services? Prime is
Exactly.
endless. The amounts of movies
Yeah.
and TV shows that's on Prime. It's ridiculous. There's too much to watch, and everything that can be made is being made.
So if you look at back in the day when, right, it was just it was a ton of record labels all focused on being a record label.
Yeah.
And it was a ton of movie studios focused
Yeah.
on being movie studios. Now it's conglomerates and investment companies from Asia and Russia and all these places, especially for the music industry. So you end up getting a lot of corporate sanitized products just put out there.
Production should not be fucked with. Let the creators create. Let you know.
But if you're a company that doesn't have any passion towards that
Well,
art form,
exactly.
then you're going to be money focused and you're
The
not going to care.
production process needs to be fun and creative and reinventive and like chasing
Mm-hmm.
a vision instead of like trying to appease people or
Well,
try.
They made the art. It's your job to sell it, right? It's your job to sell it. Your job isn't to influence the art.
Just feel like the art now is
That's right. That's what's-
directed more.
Oh, way more. In a lot.
And it's not as free and there's not as much of a what movies you sometimes movies would end and you would be why would it, I don't know how we got here.
Yeah.
But you used to watch movies and like you'd think about it after and be like, I think I feel this or I think it made me feel that way. And it makes someone else feel the other way. Like it's for you to interpret. That's what a lot of movies and music used to be. But now I feel like you're meant to come out of a movie with a certain feeling that you are supposed to have.
Of course, that's how it works now, right? But I don't like saying that. I don't want people to think that we're saying it's worse now. I would just say there's just as
It's always been there.
Again, there's
That's
always
been there.
There's always amazing stuff, and there's maybe even more amazing stuff nowadays. I would
Yeah.
just say there's also more garbage
Yeah.
than there was
Yeah, sure.
because less gets filtered out because there's just so
Yeah.
much.
It's easier to get stuff made now.
Yeah, media, and it's more. It's just a more corporate. So, but I don't want to sound cynical. There's still a lot of great stuff, and yeah,
Oh, yeah.
if you go back in the day, there was still a lot of crappy movies, crappy
Yeah.
songs, right? But I would just feel, at least in the mainstream, it wasn't as memorable.
Look, it might have sounded like I was complaining by saying like there's so much available on these streaming services. There's endless movies on Prime. Well, that's amazing. First of all, that there's a lot of garbage available on there, but like all these like films on the National Film Registry and these films that like have had iconic historical moments throughout history, films are a big deal. They're all available to you right now. A lot of the times you don't even have to pay for them. They're all available to you now, and that's amazing to have. A lot of people wanted to watch a movie and couldn't, and that happens very less now. So like as people who like and appreciate films, it's a great time for films.
Yeah, you just have to weed through more bad stuff. Really,
Yeah.
it's all that I'm trying to point out. But that's action movies, I guess. And Bullet
Yeah.
Train.
It's a fun conversation. I
Yeah.
like that.
There we go.
But yeah, guys, I think we're gonna do Guardians next week,
Uh-huh.
maybe. So
Dun, 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 dun,
tonight, as of recording right now, is the premiere. No, tomorrow is the premiere of Guardians 3, which I am like. I know it looks sad, right? Like,
yeah, well, even
but I
the
really don't know what's coming.
even the soundtrack seems a bit more dramatic.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming. How do you feel about it? Are you excited?
I'm excited. Really, I love how Guardians is marketed. I love all the promotion
Yeah.
around it, and I'm ready. I want a nice, satisfying ending. I'm accepting that it'll probably come back up years later, but I
Yeah.
just want a nice little wrap up for now.
How do you feel about like the crowd? It'll be a packed theater if you see it opening weekend.
Oh, for sure.
We have to see it by next episode, so it's gonna be packed, busy.
We'll do it. That'll be good.
Be okay. I try to aim for empty theaters now.
And hopefully some extra content to kind of hype it up. So we'll see what
I
happens.
went to the movies. I saw Return of the Jedi yesterday, 2 days ago,
Yeah, I saw in your story.
and my concessions cost me like $45.
Yeah. Well, that's how they
It's
make
brutal.
their money. So.
And like I've been going to the movies a lot and buying concessions, and if I'm gonna go to the movies a lot, I think you need to start skipping out on the popcorn, right? Because if you go on a Tuesday, it's $7 a ticket, and if that's all you pay, you go every week. But once you start, it's unbelievable. But movie theaters need to sell concessions to make money, right?
Big
So at
time.
the same time, you're supporting the theater by getting concessions. So I don't know. I know you like your popcorn. That's why.
I don't know, but movie theater popcorn, I never end up finishing it. I always end up throwing
true.
it out. It's
That's
a bit
so
too much
true.
every time.
Yeah.
Every time. I kind of just, sometimes I feel like I want to get like a hot dog and like a big thing of fries.
I like their hot dogs a lot. My favorite
yeah.
hot dogs.
I just want their amazing hot dogs and a big thing of fries that would last me the whole movie,
Nice.
and a nice big drink, and I'd probably like that better. Because popcorn, I get halfway through the bag, I'm dying of thirst. I'm like,
You get
I've drank
kernels
almost
in your
my entire drink.
yeah.
Ugh. Nah.
Yeah.
I've really soured on movie theater popcorn.
We could do a whole episode on talking about the movies, going to
Yeah.
the movies.
That should be on the docket.
Yeah, let's do it
All right.
because I like going to the movies and so do you. But yeah,
Bullet Train's awesome.
watch Bullet Train. It's on Prime.
Yes.
No renting, no subscribe to this. It's if you have Prime, it's free.
Check it out.
Check out Bullet Train,
Action
and
films are great. Bullet Train's great.
we'll be back next week to talk about Guardians.
Bye.
See you guys.